Oh my gosh. Okay, we are recording. Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to another video. I have figured out my camera settings a little bit better because I noticed my last video I had it really zoomed in and I was thinking, why is it zoomed in? I'm not experienced at all with cameras, and so I realized I just had to turn my lens a little bit and now it's normal. So I'm very happy with this setup. I'm also very happy with this topic. This is about becoming the sunshine girl, the fact that joy makes you irresistibly magnetic. It just does. Think about the fact that humans take vitamin D in the winter when it's cloudy, when it's gray outside. We take vitamin D because it's an essential vitamin for our bodies. We need it to function, and also because vitamin D makes us happy. So my mom actually used to have these little vitamin D containers in the fridge, and she called them happy drops. So in the winter, after school every day, she would say, "Okay, everyone, it's time for happy drops." And we would come over and we'd open our mouths, and it was like little chicks. You know how the mom birds put the worms in the little chicks' mouths? That's what it was with my sisters and I. And the vitamin D drops were flavored. They're always mango or strawberry or something fun like that. And I always noticed I felt good when I took those. And vitamin D, my analogy is that is the same as a joyful woman. It is vitamin D for your soul. It is vitamin D for other people's souls. We need joy, and people in this world are starving for happiness and joy and love. You know why? Because not everyone radiates that out. And as you get older, as you have more life experiences, especially as a woman, if you've been through any experiences with bullying, with drama bonding between other women, you'll know that sometimes all we need is a dose of joy and love. So in this video, I want to go in how you all can be able to tap into the sunshine, bring this sunshine girl out of you, because guess what? She exists. She's already in there. She might just not have the safety to come out. And that's an important thing I need to say, is the safety for her to come out and reveal herself, because that's the number one block from women feeling joy: trauma and stress. Therefore, they don't feel safe to be able to release that joy out, to be able to express this joy. Anyone can walk around wearing a dress, anyone can have a nice room, anyone can wear makeup. Think about every single time you've been around a woman and she makes you feel good. Are you focused every time on her making you feel good because she's wearing makeup or she's wearing a nice dress? I never even think about that. If I'm with a woman that makes me feel good, it's not because she's wearing makeup or it's because she's wearing a certain outfit or dressed in a certain way. It's because of how she makes me feel. It's because of her energy. And this energy, a lot of times, women, we always have it in us, but there's sometimes that block because of the trauma. So my number one point that we have to get to before we can do anything else is to heal the mind and heal the emotional body. The emotional body is basically our emotional side, but we store it within us, right? And if you're like me, my stress and my traumas are corporeal. I feel them physically, and so what happens when I get really stressed is I become rigid. I become extremely stiff. I get back pain. And that is also blocking you feeling this full happiness, because if you have a wound on your arm, let's say that you have a really deep cut on your arm, how are you going to feel going out with that pain nagging on your arm every single day? Do you think you're really going to feel as joyful and happy? If you are, that is a powerful woman right there. But it's okay if you're not. My point is to say that if you have this pain, how are you supposed to fully feel joy and happiness? If you have this pain distracting you, if you have this pain blocking you from stepping into that beautiful feminine, divine feminine energy, this sunshine energy. So that physical wound is the same as our emotional wounds, and we hold them in our bodies. That's why you feel stiffness. That's why you might get rigid with stress, because our body is holding on to all of this. That is so hard on the body, to hold all this stress, to hold all this trauma. It really is hard on our body. It can go out to even cause other illnesses and stuff within our bodies, because that's how difficult it is to hold that trauma. And some people don't want to heal that. Some people really don't want to look in that. I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast, and something that she said was I felt it was always my responsibility to make my mom happy. I felt I was always responsible for making my mom happy. When she was not happy, I would get anxious. I would feel that I would have to do something to make her happy. So she explained her childhood growing up with her mom like that, and she even talked to her mom now. And she talked to her mom about getting therapy, and what her mom said was, why would I get therapy? I'm already 40 years old. Or what'd she say? I'm already in my 40s. Why would I get therapy? She didn't feel it was worth it to get therapy at her age, because she said, what if I realize I don't like you, Mel? What if I realize I don't like my husband? What if I realize I don't like other people in my life? She was scared of the realization. She was scared of even thinking of having to confront the truths. And when she said this about what her mom had said, and then the past of having to always make her mom happy, it made a lot of sense to me, and it was a perfect example of this block with the trauma and the stress. And also, we have to realize that sometimes people don't want to address those things. People don't want to address their stress and their traumas, and they don't have any interest in healing. They want to stay where they are at. You can't change that. You cannot change that. You cannot try to change people. They're either going to want to heal or they're not. And it's the same with you. I'm hoping if you're watching this video, you are dedicated to healing. And so I also had someone comment on my YouTube the other day. This was amazing. She said, I realize as I get older, the goal is not to be a strong woman. It is to be a healed woman. I love this so much, because you can be a strong woman and a healed woman. But what she was trying to get at is that if you have this goal of becoming just strong, what does that really mean? Does that just mean tough? Does that just mean trying to get through difficult challenges? Because how are you supposed to fully feel this joy if you're not healed? The healing part is a magical thing, and that's something crucial in order to be able to combine the strength you have as a woman with the healed parts of you. Now you are a strong woman who also heals, who also confronts and faces the difficulties of her weaknesses, of her traumas, of her pain and her stress. That's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to want to heal. It's a difficult thing, but it's so worth it, and it's so beautiful, and there's so much beauty on the other side of healing. It's like you have that open wound on your arm, and now you've not only just covered it up with gauze, with a Band-Aid. Anyone can cover up a wound with a Band-Aid, but you've actually done the work to fully heal that wound underneath that Band-Aid, and now it's a scar. The scar tissue is thinner, it's a little bit weaker, but it's still healed. It's still a scar. If you poke at that scar, it's going to hurt a lot. But if you poke at a scar, a healed scar, it's going to hurt a lot less than an open wound. Think about that. Think about poking at that scar. It's not going to hurt as much as the open wound. That's why healing is so important, and that's why healing brings this sunshine, this light, this beauty out of you. So, now I also want to mention that how do we actually do this healing work? I've talked a lot about why it's important to heal, but in order to do this healing work, I think there's an inner aspect and an outer aspect of the work we have to do. So first of all is inner work. For me, that inner work has always looked like meditation, journaling, talking to someone like a therapist, talking to anyone who can help you through this stress, whatever pain you're going through. Just remember that what we're trying to do is release these emotions out of our body so we're not holding them in. And that's in so many different forms. Writing, speaking, meditating, speaking out loud to yourself, all incredible ways to do this inner work. And then what does the outer work look like? Well, like I mentioned earlier, that stress is corporeal for a lot of us. How do we get this out of our physical body? Well, if we're holding it in, how do you think we're going to get it out? Movement. Movement is a beautiful thing for your body, especially when you're holding all this stress in, because you are now in this rigidness. You have the opportunity to relax. You have the opportunity to let this stress and trauma actually physically flow out of you with movement. So walking, incredible. I love walking. If you have the abundance of having a beautiful environment around you, a nice enough environment to walk in, go outside, get fresh air, fresh oxygen from our plants, and fill your body with that. And then this movement is going to also make you feel a lot less tense. Another thing I love is somatic dancing. You guys know me personally, you know that I love to dance. I love to dance in my room. I love to take different types of dance classes. I love to do aerial dance sometimes. And somatic dancing is whatever you make it up to be. That's what the point of it is you play your favorite music, you put on whatever outfit you want to, and you dance. And you have the privacy of your room. You have the privacy of just yourself. Maybe it's just yourself in a mirror and you're dancing and you are building your confidence and releasing safely in this way. For a lot of women who hold this trauma in their body, they need a safe environment to release. Now, this is all so important to be able to release all of this out emotionally and also physically, because now you are doing healing work. And a lot of people will wonder, even I wondered, what is it going to look like when I'm healed? How am I going to know that I have healed? Healing is not linear. For some people, that's going to take a few weeks. For some people, it's going to take a few months. And for other people, depending on how chronic their stress is to them, how chronic their traumas are to them, could take years of consistent and active work, focused healing. Years. That's a long time. But honestly, starting today, the time flies. Time flies so fast. You never know how much you could change in just a few months of trying to heal, just a few months of trying to address these wounds. Trying not to just put a bandage on them, but to actually heal them from within. Form that scar tissue. So that's the first thing. Now that you have healed, once you feel that you have at least started healing, I love this. This is my number 2, and it is intentional joy. If you want to become that sunshine girl that people love being around, you have to have a kindness and a light inside of you. Everyone is capable of feeling kindness and joy because it is a choice to feel that. We react to things that happen to us, and then we choose how we feel after those things happen, or even during. So make a conscious decision every day to be joyful, to say no matter what happens today, I'm going to move through this day with joy, with love, with light. This is hard because you know what's going to happen once you tell yourself this. You're going to have a day or days when people are disrespecting to you, people are not kind to you, you have hard things happen in your family, you see fights erupt within your own family or your friends, and these are all little tests, and they're going to be points when you can see it not as a negative thing, but as a way to catch yourself as, oh, this is my opportunity to lean into this joy, really lean into this promise you have made yourself, is that you're going to feel joy on a daily basis no matter what happens. You get to make that choice. Give yourself permission to make that choice. If you are feeling stressed, if you are feeling this dark cloud over you because of anything that's happening in your life, realize that you have to be the one to give yourself permission to feel joy every single day. No one else can do that for you. It's your body, it's your life. Yes, things are going to happen to you. You choose how you take that, how you hold that, and then you release. You go on. You go on to live your joy. You have to give yourself permission to do that. And once you do, everything is going to change. People feel this magnetism and this radiance from you, and it makes them feel good. And that goes into my third point, which is radiate gratitude. Give gratitude out to the world. There's something called, the saying is called the gift to the giver. So the giver is the one who is giving the gift, right? But the gift to the giver is the happiness that they feel in giving. You know this. If you've ever been through a situation where you've given a gift to a family member or a friend, you see them open it, you see how happy they are, and you feel this light in your heart. It's the same way where if you cook something for someone and they light up and they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much, this is delicious, how did you make this? You feel the same emotions that they do, and you're not the one trying it, you're the one that made it and gave it, but you still feel these happy emotions. Why? Because the gift to the giver is in the giving. The gift to the giver is in the gratitude. And when you give this gratitude out to people, you are quantum leaping the joy within your body, the joy within your mind. And you know what happens when you quantum leap that? You're going to feel more of it, a lot more of it, and then it's just compound. It does a compound effect. It's a beautiful thing. So another thing that I wanted to mention, and I wanted to make sure that I got this mentioned in this video, is an experiment by Dr. Emoto. He was a Japanese researcher in the early 2000s, and he did an experiment with water to show that human emotions actually changed the composition of water. Of course, not many people replicated this study, so people question the accuracy of it, but I want to believe it fully. And also, even if I don't believe it, I'll tell you why the evidence is still real, that happiness and positivity changes your gene expression, it changes your health, and it absolutely changes how you make yourself feel and others feel from within. So Dr. Kyoto basically took a bunch of water samples and he put different words on these little glass petri dishes. He put positive words on some and negative words on others. So on some he would write love, peace, joy, and then on others he even wrote, "You're a fool," hate, disgust, really negative terms. He put these on the water samples and froze them, and then he looked at them under a microscope. What do you think happened when he looked at the positive word water under a microscope? The water with the positive word on it. They were these beautiful, symmetrical structures. It looked like snowflakes. Beautiful. And then, it gives me chills thinking about this. He looked at the water that had the negative words on them, the negative labels. The water structure was disorganized, it was chaotic, and it was ugly. It was not pretty. Completely different from the water that had these positive words written on them. He also did a separate experiment with polluted water versus water from a fresh mountain stream, and he found the polluted water also had ugly structures. The fresh water from the mountain stream had beautiful structures. Talk about the health of water and its appearance as well. How crazy is that? And so what he hypothesized is, well, our bodies are 60% water, 2/3 water. So we're holding all this water in our bodies. How are we talking to ourselves? How are we feeling? How do you talk to yourself in your own body? When you tell yourself positive things, when you speak positively and think positively of yourself, you are possibly changing the composition of the water in your body. Think about what happens when you speak negatively and you criticize other people. Think of how harmful that is to their bodies of water, versus being so kind, how that lights them up. I truly believe this is a corporeal feeling, this joy. And also, again, if you don't want to believe in experiment, I love that experiment, but I know some people are going to try to argue with that. Well, guess what? They also found, we also know this, it's proven in epigenetics, that good emotions and less stress, happiness, turn on positive gene expression for DNA repair, cellular repair, and the opposite, when we have negativity, when we have stress, we raise our cortisol levels, raise our inflammation, which then prevents us from repairing our DNA. It turns off the genes for DNA repair. And so our immune function goes down, our ability to repair our cells goes down. And this is all because of a negative emotion. How powerful is that? Think about it, is every single one of us has a body. Every single person goes out every single day. They have a working body, if you're blessed enough to have a working body. And think about the same person, the same body, and now you have either one version of yourself who is positive and kind, and you have another version of yourself that is critical, negative, and chronically stressed. These people might look the same even from the outside, but think of what is happening internally. This is the point of this water experiment. So unbelievably powerful. So I also will say, when it comes to giving this gratitude and this joy out to other people, you guys will probably hear me say this again. I'm not a rule follower. I'm just not. I feel happy doing things for people that don't follow the rules. I'll give you examples. When I'm working at a restaurant job and I'm giving people to-go orders, I will pack them extra containers of rice and write little hearts on them and say, have the best day ever, have a great day. And, you know, rice is cheap. Anyone can go out and buy rice. Rice is super cheap. It's one of the cheapest foods, but it's the act of getting that for free. It's the act of getting that kind gesture with a kind message from someone that makes you feel so good. If you've ever thought about this, you go to a restaurant and they give you extra sauces without charging for it, or they give you something a little extra without charging, like a free birthday dessert. How much is that really worth? Probably not a lot of money, but it doesn't matter. It makes you feel amazing. You could have gone out and bought that same thing, that same little container of rice, that same little free birthday dessert for a cheap amount of money, and it wouldn't make you feel nearly as good as getting it for free, because that is what gratitude does. That is what love does for this world. I don't like to follow the rules. I was working at this hospital job. Here's another example. I was working at this hospital job, and I remember the patients would come in and they would have to take their clothes and change into gowns, and they wouldn't get their clothes back because their clothes had to go off and be like do investigations and DNA tests. So so I was the one, that patient advocate, and I always had to fill out this sheet of their history, everything that happened to them, and then I got to reimburse them with the, I think it was the hospital, I don't know who paid for it even, but reimburse them for the clothes. And I remember one time, actually every single time, what am I saying? These girls would come in, these women would come in, and they would turn in their clothes, and it doesn't matter what these clothes were. If it was a cheap t-shirt, this woman came in with like a t-shirt, had holes in it. Like it was, she was not worried about losing it, but I could tell that, and she told me that she was struggling with money. She was saying, I'm on food stamps, I don't even have the money to buy a lot of food for my daughter and I. And when I was filling out this sheet to get her reimbursed for this t-shirt, I was like, how much do you think this t-shirt costed? She said, oh man, I couldn't tell you, I got it so long ago. I said, let's just do $60. So I would write down $60, and you know I did that with all the clothes. People come in with jeans, and I always had to ask them, how much did this cost? And no one in my history, my 2 years of doing that job, knew how much their clothes costed. And I always would be like, okay, this underwear is $25. These jeans look like about $75 to $100. This t-shirt, maybe $60, $70, all this stuff. I would try to do as much as I could. Maybe that's breaking the rules. I don't know. It was up to me, honestly. And I would say, I could see the joy in these women's faces, almost like these women had gone through the most traumatic situations. And to see them laugh, to see them feel joy in just this simple gesture, it made me feel so good. And then we had this mutual connection because now we're connecting. I loved that. That was one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite parts of the job, because I always knew it would make them feel good. So our emotions don't just stay in our mind. Think about how when you give this out to other people, it really affects how they feel in their body. And when you aren't able to express this, you can be in survival mode. You can be in, honestly, this rigid, critical feeling in your body. And that's when you have this stress blocking you. But when you heal that, when you get out of survival mode and into thriving mode, you feel so good, you feel so joyful, and you can know that there are going to be hard situations in your life. There are going to be more hard experiences in your life. But if you know the steps to bring out that sunshine again, to heal, to make that intention, to feel joyful every single day, no matter what, and to give gratitude to others, and number 3, you will change how you feel, and other people will see that. They'll be so magnetized towards you, and people want to be around that. People will want to see you again just because you feel good to be around. Feel good to be around. So I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Always leave your suggestions below for anything else that you want to see, and I'm very excited for this next video. We'll see what comes up. I'm also very excited that my camera is looking good, and I'm finally figuring it out. We are all in this together. All right, bye-bye.